All right, we want to welcome everyone to our next series in the MPP Engineering Workshops. This is number 13, which is going to be Sustainable and Societal Environmental Impact, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to our speaker for the evening, Mr. Chidi Izue. Chidi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. Sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Look at it this way. How many of you will not want to leave something for people who are coming behind you, for your offsprings, for your generations coming behind you? So it's not just leaving assets for them. How about leaving some part of good nature for them? That's what sustainability is all about. The simple principle of sustainability is that everything we need for survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. So if we can leave assets, if we can leave money for our family or generations coming behind us, how about the environment? Why don't we leave a clean environment for them? So to pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. We are not saying don't use the environment, but use it, but consider that there are people who will be coming after you, people coming after us. They also need to be able to use it responsibly. And the same way that we left some good environment for them, they will also be able to leave some good environment for the offsprings coming after them. So as a result, we all are in the environment. So sustainability is not just a one-man approach. It requires an integrated approach that takes into consideration environmental concerns along with economic development. So all hands must be on deck for sustainability. Our goal and objectives in this seminar is to shed more light on sustainability, how to create sustainability business strategy, and also discuss how engineering can help to infuse sustainable practices into our everyday actions to make positive impact in the society. Let me give you some history about sustainability. The concept of sustainability sprouted from the movement that grew out of the notions of social justice, ecological conservation, and globalism towards the end of the 20th century. They saw the need for sustainable development, and they took a holistic approach that considers the environment, economy, and equity. Everything has to be in balance. Let's talk about four main types of sustainability. The first one is human sustainability. It aims to maintain and improve the human capital of society, and that human capital is the skills of you and me, our skills that provides value to the society. That's human sustainability. Social sustainability focuses on corporate social responsibility. You see, being a business that customers, the community, employees, and investors want to support, that's important. If you're a company that practices social sustainability, you're usually interested in community relationships, you're trying to do good for the community, you're adopting fair labor practices, and in turn, you're giving back to the local community. That's social sustainability. Economic sustainability deals with long-term business profitability and includes activities such as corporate governance, risk management, regulatory compliance, ethical business practices, and accounting transparency. Yes, businesses have to make money, but it shouldn't be at the cost of the environment. Environmental sustainability, also known as environmental protection, is the principle of maintaining ecological integrity and ensuring that Earth's environmental systems remain balanced as natural resources such as air, water, soil, forest, and animals are being consumed by humans. It requires companies to focus on improving energy efficiency and on reducing their carbon footprint, packaging waste, and responsible water usage. 7 principles of sustainable construction. The first one is sustainable design. Sustainable design seeks to reduce negative impacts on the environment and health and comfort of building occupants, thereby improving the building standard. Energy efficiency is about trying to reduce the use of energy. So in whatever structure or facility that we're involved in, we think about energy efficiency in the design and the operations. In the selection of the materials and the equipment, energy efficiency should be a key consideration. Waste reduction. As much as possible, let's try to reuse or recycle. Starting out, let's minimize the waste rather than doing a lot of waste. And if waste results, we have to manage it properly. Durability, whatever we select, be it material or equipment that we incorporate in that design, should be durable. Indoor air quality is very, very important. In every structure, the indoor quality is important. That's how good the indoor quality, the quality of air that the occupants of the building are breathing. If the air is good, it will improve their health and also improve productivity. If the air is not good, it's going to affect their health. And then that leads to what we call sick building syndrome. So indoor air quality is very, very good for sustainability. Remember, I talked about human sustainability. That human capital, your people have to be well and productive to give value to the company. Water conservation. Water is a natural resource. We cannot afford to waste it. We need to use just enough and allow it to continue to grow so that it will not die out or it will not dry out. So we need to preserve water essentially. Sustainable building materials is more like trying to select close to natural materials or materials that are high in natural materials. Those products are what we call sustainable building materials. Examples of sustainable building development include wind energy, solar energy, efficient water fixtures, and sustainable forestry. How important is sustainability? Very, very important, I must tell you that. Sustainability is important because it is our society's ability to exist and develop without depleting all the natural resources needed to live in the future. Sustainable development supports these long-term goals with the implementation of systems and support from global, national, and local entities. The National Environmental Protection Act of 1969 committed the United States to sustainability, declaring it a national policy to create and maintain conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony. That permits fulfilling the social, economic, and other requirements of the present and the future generations to come. Since then, the public interest in sustainability has broadened in the areas where the US has seen considerable progress in sustainability, a common driver in citizens and other stakeholders concerned. In addition, practitioners of sustainability, people who are embracing it, are now becoming more ambitious in their sustainable efforts. It's not just to meet the minimum, but they're trying to do more, sharing best practices to improve the sustainability targets of all the activities. Let's talk about business sustainability. Business sustainability, also known as corporate sustainability, is the management of environmental, social, and financial concerns by any company to ensure responsible, ethical, and ongoing success. You see, in the normal capitalistic business culture, social and environmental concerns are often considered to be in conflict with financial goals because, for example, depletion of non-renewable natural resources isn't a sustainable practice. However, because greener alternatives typically require new investment in infrastructure, it costs more money to set it up. We tend to continue to rely on fossil fuels because it's the least expensive short term. So what happens is because businesses know that for them to go green, for them to lean towards sustainability is going to cost them money. And they're looking at it, if I spend this to be sustainable, how does it affect my bottom line? Business sustainability helps mitigate environmental, social, and economic challenges through the strategic management of corporate resources. So it's important that businesses realize that helping to preserve the environment so that there'll be some left for the future generations is not really cutting your profit, is the right thing to do. Let's talk about triple bottom line and incorporating that in the financial profitability. And I will look at it in the form of creating a sustainable business strategy, because the concern about triple bottom line, it has three parts: the social, the environmental, and the economic. See, people were thinking that, oh, if I have to go if I have to focus on sustainability, perhaps I won't be making enough profit. But triple bottom line is saying, no, you could still embrace social impact, environmental and economic, and still make money at the same time looking out for the community. In fact, by doing that, the community will even like you, and that could even be a business booster. So how do we create a sustainable business strategy? The first one is address compliance. Companies need to pay attention to and meet compliance requirements regarding waste management, pollution, and energy efficiency. The regulations are there. We have to adhere. It's not just saying, oh, we're going to do it, but we have to put measures in place to be able to meet compliance. Because failing to adhere to these regulations can result in financial fines and reputational damage, which can make it difficult to sustain a business. So it's good to do it the right way. The business has to align overall business strategy with sustainability. Basically, we have to realize that contrary to the traditional ways of thinking, sustainability isn't at odds with high profits or competitive edge over business rivals. Social, environmental, and corporate sustainability is essential for long-term success. So every business should strive to exceed compliance and use sustainability to their competitive advantage. We have to be proactive, anticipate potential areas of improvement, and build them into sustainability strategy before they become a visible problem. Don't wait for you to be called out. When you notice it, act on it. Be proactive instead of reactive. Businesses should be transparent. Being able to disclose about your company's sustainability strategy, share it with the board of directors, shareholders, customers, employees, and the surrounding community. You have nothing to hide. You're a company that is socially conscious. Sustainability is at the forefront of your operations. So when businesses are forthcoming about where improvements are and their plans to address it and how they can continue to maintain high level of sustainability, that's good business right there. Collaboration. Businesses from time to time work with other businesses, maybe in joint ventures or purchasing materials from them or selling goods and services to them. It's important that we work with these other organizations, such as suppliers and business partners, to jointly develop plans to address larger economic, environmental, and social problems. Remember what I said at the beginning, that all hands have to be on deck with regards to sustainability. So it's not just you alone trying to say, oh, okay, my company is sustainable and you want to shine alone. But globally, we will do more if we're able to bring our partners, convince them to do what you're doing, hence the need for collaboration. While we're doing that, it's important that we quantify results and return on investment. We have to keep track of our efforts in sustainability. How much are we putting in? What is the output? And that's the way we could say after a while or at the end of the year when we're taking stock, we are a highly sustainable business, but I'm telling you, business is good because it didn't affect profit in any way. As engineers, how can we get involved in sustainability? What are the roles of engineers in sustainability? Engineers have a critical role in ensuring the success of sustainability because they are responsible for designing facilities, products, and systems. By designing and implementing sustainable solutions for infrastructure, buildings, and energy systems, engineers can help reduce carbon emissions, conserve resources, and protect the environment. The basic objectives of sustainability are to reduce consumption of non-renewable resources, minimize waste, and create healthy, productive environments. Environmental engineers are very important in this movement for sustainability. They research and try to minimize the effects of acid rain, global warming, automobile emissions, and ozone depletion issues. So based on that, every engineer should do this. 1, consider the planet Earth in all your design concepts. When you're designing, when you're selecting materials, think about the Earth. What is your design? What is the end product? Operations and maintenance, how will it affect the environment? Will it make it sustainable? Next, pay attention to water and air pollution control and public health issues. Don't just design, get paid, and leave. We should worry about the environment. Use resources effectively. Try to minimize waste. If you can eliminate waste, do that, but try to minimize it to the bare minimum. Reduce the waste. When waste is generated, try to reuse it, and also try to recycle. Take advantage of renewable resources. Those natural materials that are out there, try to take advantage of them. Remember adaptability. We have to adapt. We have to make changes. We have to, based on what the present is, we have to adapt to be able to sustain and move and plan for future. We have to consider material alternatives. In our designs, we have to look at the materials and see the best materials that have natural input, that has high natural content. We use concrete a lot, but concrete is known to be high in generating carbon footprint. So it's important that we also look at that and say, okay, since we know that producing concrete is high in carbon footprint, what can we do to reduce that? For example, can we reinforce it with natural materials such as fiber? So let's consider material alternatives with emphasis on natural materials. Using steel. Steel is processed. With all this manufacturing and processing, there's a lot of emissions that are being released. So can we use timber instead of steel? These are the things that we need to consider while trying to select materials. Incorporate energy efficiency and water-saving plumbing fixtures in all designs. For our personal activities, both the engineers in their homes and also the society at large, we have to limit our food waste. We have to try to recycle and compost. We have to reduce plastic. We have to be water wise to avoid wasting water. As much as possible, eat more plant-based meals. instead of processed food. Drive less, drive green. If your workplace is not too far away, catch the train. Bike, drive less. Incorporate a lot of green materials, natural materials into your living, into your home. Let's talk about life cycle analysis. Life cycle analysis is a method used to evaluate the environmental impact of a product through its life cycle, encompassing extraction and processing of the raw materials, manufacturing, distribution, use, recycling, and final disposal. You see, the goal of life cycle analysis is to quantify or otherwise characterize all the inputs and outputs over a product's life cycle. Basically, we need to quantify what are we putting in and what are we getting out, what's our benefit from it. I'll give you an example of life cycle analysis. The US Department of Energy produced a report a long while ago that shows that the energy and environmental benefits of LED light bulbs are better than incandescent and fluorescent light fixtures. So such a report, when you do a life cycle analysis, you'll be able to say, okay, based on this analysis, that this product is better than the other one. As we're doing that, we have to consider alternative approaches that change those impacts for the better. And in the process, suggest or implement continuous improvement actions. So for you to convince the masses that this is the way to go, it's important to do life cycle analysis. So you could show them in black and white with numbers. Based on this, this is where you are. If you do it this way, this is the output. And based on that, it's clear to them that sustainability is the way to go. We have to abide by international, federal, state, and local regulations and policies. Engineers should research to ensure that all elements of our design comply with the regulations. So as you're designing, don't design what will not comply with the regulations. As part of your research and development, research to make sure that whatever design you're incorporating is such that will not make whoever will be installing that material to contravene the regulations. So it starts with the design. Don't tell them to do what is against the regulations. So engineers should know that and comply. And with that first step of compliance, everybody else along the production chain will comply. In 1970, the United States government enacted 3 major environmental laws: the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Toxic Substances Control Act. Other sustainability laws include the Endangered Species Act, Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, and the Lacey Act. The government have to create regulations and new systems for tax and subsidies that should create a business environment which gives green solutions a fair chance in competition with the current products and services. Those financial incentives could be in the form of grants, loan rebates, and tax credits. By doing that, it's going to encourage more people to go green. You get rebates for doing the right thing, for going sustainable. That's very important. We need to accelerate the green energy transition. It should be a national strategy, which the United States government should lead on. Most of the sustainability requirements focus on compliance at federal facilities right now. So there is really no mandate for private people to comply with the highest level of sustainability. But in the federal buildings, yes, they're incorporating that. So I think there's need to extend that to outside federal buildings and federal facilities. To achieve sustainability at the local level, local government officials will need to get educated on the best eco-friendly practices to make positive infrastructure and policy changes and pass the knowledge to their constituents. Individuals can also live in a more sustainable way by caring for nature and environmental stability. Remember, it's an integrated approach. All hands must be on deck. The Clean Air Act must be enforced at all levels to safeguard the public interest. Now, let's talk about ways that we can seek to upgrade processes beyond pollution control and pollution prevention. Individual commitment for caring for nature and environmental stability is key. The use of recyclable materials is important. We have to reduce the impact of the product on the environment. We have to reduce waste, we have to reuse, we have to recycle. Those are the core principles of wise resource use. We have to utilize advances in science and technology to upgrade levels of efficiency and environmental protection. Solar technology is new technology that we should embrace. Energy efficiency should be at our forefront, and indoor air quality should be paramount. When people are healthy, they are productive. Every business should promote sustainable practices that is consistent with ISA 14001 International Environmental Management Guidance. As every business consumes materials, uses energy, and generates waste in operating the business, environmental impacts will occur as a result. Some of the environmental impacts include use of utilities such as water, electric, and gas, generation of waste, air emissions from manufacturing and other processing, smoke, fumes, disposal of our effluents, management of activities with potential to cause pollution such as bulk oil storage. But now, to promote sustainable business practices, we need to do this. Educate employees on the need to adhere or comply with sustainable business practices. Sometimes our employees may not really understand, or we may not even have in-depth knowledge about sustainability. But there are nonprofits who all they do is sustainability. They invest time, they do research, they know a lot about sustainability. So why not you partner with such nonprofits so that they can bring the muscle of sustainability to your operations? Encourage volunteerism. Your employees who will get on board can also be out there talking to people, town hall meetings, telling them about sustainability. Let's use biodegradable packaging. Let's eliminate paper usage by doing most of our things electronically as much as possible to the greatest extent. Let's conserve water. Let's consider renewable energy. Let's invest in green projects. Let's develop a recycling program. As I said earlier on, reassess our supply chain. Everybody on board, give us sustainable materials. Give us renewable materials. The standard for environmental management system is the ISO 14001, which is primarily concerned with environmental management. It was put forward by the International Organization for Standardization. This standard and guidelines exist to help organizations minimize how their operations negatively affect the environment. This means what the organization does to minimize harmful effects of the environment, because by its activities and to achieve continual and improvement of its environmental performance. The ISO 14001 was developed to reduce the impact a company's operations make on our environment. It also guides companies meet the business challenges of being environmentally responsible without wasting resources. Its purpose is to clarify the best practices for organizations that wish to reduce their environmental footprint by adopting an effective environmental management system. An environmental management system is a systematic approach to handling environmental performance issues within an organization. So, what are the requirements of ISO 14001? The ISO 14001 specifies what's required to implement an effective energy management system, environmental management system for organizations of all sizes. The scope sets out the type of operations your environmental management system covers and the boundaries that will be placed upon it. Establishing the boundaries will require you to outline which parts of your organization will be subject to EMS. This will include processes, sites, departments, divisions, etc. Let's talk about environmental policy, which describes an organization's commitment to take responsibility for the effects on the wider environment and legal requirements. Every good company should have an environmental policy. The policy will include clear commitment to prevent pollution and to continually improve the way your business seeks to deliver upon its environmental objectives. Evaluation of environmental risk and opportunities. This will outline and acknowledge the environmental risk and opportunities which may be encountered by operating the organization. This will include risks in abnormal and emergency situations. This will also include opportunities to embrace change and make environmental improvements. The standard doesn't prescribe a particular methodology or risk process to be documented, but you will need to demonstrate that a risk-based approach is being followed. Everything that we have to do to be able to leave some for the generations that are coming after us. Now that we've talked about the environmental management system, whose responsibility is it to comply? It's the responsibility of top management to provide leadership and direction for environmental management within the organization. They must establish strategic environmental policies, directives, and objectives consistent with the purpose and capabilities of the organization. So it is the responsibility of top management. By being responsible, they can delegate, but they have to make sure that the organization is responsible and following all compliance that's required. For the certification process, if let's say you're a company that wants to be ISO 14000 certified, it starts with assessment by the certifying body. They are going to request you to provide certain documents that they need to do the evaluation. Thereafter, that certifying body will conduct their audit. If they find any non-conformity, they will bring it to your attention and tell you to resolve it. Upon resolving it and everything's good, you will receive your certification. For more information about ISO 14000, visit www.iso.org. The entire business process should be considered from product manufacturing to product performance and ultimately product disposal. We have to consider everything because all that emission comes from the product manufacturing. What is being manufactured? What gases are being released? So we have to look at the entire business process from product manufacturing up to product disposal. Our objective should be to reduce our carbon footprint by 10% over the next 5 years. See, the carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide and methane, that we generate by our actions. And the average person in the US is generating about 16,000 tons per person. But globally, the average is about 4 tons per person. So you can see that the carbon footprint of the average person in the US is more than the global average. So it needs to improve. So what's our target? Our target will be to implement a telecommuting policy for employees who live within 30 miles. And you could say, hey, could you people carpool? Or how can we assist you to carpool to reduce our carbon imprint? Next could be create an objective to decrease water consumption by 5%, say this year. How do we do that? Well, one of the ways is install low flow toilets in all the bathrooms. Let's talk about societal impact. We're going to talk about estimating initial and life cycle cost of a project. At the beginning of a project, during the conceptual phase, there is need to be able to analyze all that, do a life cycle cost analysis, compare that with the cost to do the entire project, and then be able to make the right decision. Initial cost estimates generated by computing all the design and engineering costs, materials, labor, equipment, supervision, management, and administrative cost of a proposed product. That's the initial cost estimate. Beyond that initial cost estimate, you have the life cycle cost analysis, which is an analysis technique that builds on the well-founded principle of economic analysis to evaluate the overall long-term economic efficiency between competing alternative investment options. You see, it incorporates initial and discounted future agency, user, and other relevant costs over the life of alternative investments. It attempts to identify the best value. Sometimes the lowest may not always be the way to go, but the life cycle cost analysis tends to put all the parameters in perspective and give us the best value. And that best value will be the lowest long-term cost that satisfies the performance objectives being sought. This life cycle cost analysis is a decision-making support tool to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of investment decisions, whether or not they meet specific life cycle cost analysis mandated requirements. So how do you calculate life cycle cost analysis? The calculation is as follows. Life cycle costing, which is equal to capital cost for that improvement, plus lifetime operations cost, plus lifetime maintenance cost, plus disposal cost, minus residual value. That's how you calculate the life cycle cost analysis. And this life cycle cost analysis should be conducted as early in the project development cycle as possible. You want to be able to do it so that you can really know what the cost benefit is before you embark on that project. Hence, the need for life cycle cost analysis to be done upfront. Now let's talk about impacts on a project. Impacts on a project could be positive or negative. It could be primary or secondary long-term. It could be directly or indirectly. It could be intended or unintended. But we're going to look at them in perspective. First is environmental impact. Environmental impact is a measure of the effects of a project or development for the environment. According to some studies, construction is responsible for up to 50% of climate change. It also impacts landfill and air, water, and noise pollution. As you all know, a lot of construction, there's a lot of construction debris, and all that goes into landfill. How can we divert that? How can we try to reuse some of that materials and avoid diverting a lot to the landfills? Other environmental impacts that we have are water pollution and noise pollution. Deforestation. When you keep cutting that wood down, try to replant some trees so that you do not eliminate our forest. We need our forest, we need our trees. For us to be able to keep moving, it's important that if we take a tree today, that we plant 1 or 2 for the generations that are going to be coming after us. We have to consider traffic impact on road projects. How does the traffic impact on a new road affect the community in general? Is it going to alleviate their problems, or is it going to create additional traffic problems? We need to do a traffic impact survey. Overpopulation is also something else that comes with environmental impact. What happens is when new development comes, people tend to move into that area, or people now come to work in that area. So we run the risk of overpopulation. Also, as the project is going on, sometimes the land may be polluted, either from our operations at the site or from the heavy machinery. Let's say somebody brings in a machinery that is leaking oil, that could leak out into the soil and pollute the land. So all that should be factored into our analysis. Economic impacts, on the other hand, deals with understanding and quantifying economic impacts. These are crucial to many different stakeholders, because stakeholders, yes, one of the number one things on their mind is the money. What are we getting from it? Where's my profit? So all governments must justify expenses. Neighborhood groups are interested in job creation, and developers need to attract tenants. So it's important that everything that we're doing, be it on a private level or by the government, we need to be able to analyze everything for a point of economic impact. How much economic impact is that project going to make on the community? How much economic impact is this new project going to do to impact sustainability? We need to figure that. The 3 reverse models measures both construction and business operations phases in terms of total output, total earnings, and total employment using the US Bureau of Economic Analysis Regional Inputs Output Modeling System, commonly known as RIMS-2 data. This RIMS is able to do a benefit cost analysis or ratio, because you're trying to evaluate your benefit and cost. How much am I putting in? What's my benefit? When you look at the benefit, you'll be able to see what the ratio is doing. Any ratio that is greater than 1 indicates that the benefits exceed the cost. If it's lower than 1, it means that the costs will exceed the benefits. So the benefit cost ratio approach is generally not recommended on pavement analysis because of the difficulty in sorting out benefits and costs for use in developing the benefit cost ratios. But on most projects, it's important to do a benefit cost analysis. At least you have an idea of what am I getting into. You don't want to sink in so much money into project, yet you didn't get your money's worth. Societal impacts. The social impacts include accessibility, health, safety, education, equity, occupancy, design requirements, culture, integrity, stakeholders' involvement, and the governmental barriers and enforcement. Social sustainability performance is one of the 3 pillars of environmental, social, and governance. It assesses a company's engagement with its workers, customers, suppliers, and the local community. It covers human rights, diversity and inclusion, health and safety, and community impact. Companies are advised to regularly publish their sustainability goals and report on their progress towards reaching them. Sustainability is good business. This transparency helps employees and outsiders understand how the business is contributing to a sustainable global economy. In addition, these progress reports help maintain trust with stakeholders. It seeks to improve the effects a company has on the external world. In return, the business generates goodwill with customers, employees, community members, investors, and other stakeholders. I cannot overemphasize that sustainability is good business. To sell this sustainability, we need engineers to assist. Engineers should please make out time to attend town hall meetings where these things are being discussed. And that way, they'll be able to lend their expert knowledge to the stakeholders, to the community, and then they'll be able to make informed decisions. Now, let's talk about integrating arts and humanities with engineering. Yes, we need that to be able to make the right decision. We need to have the right frame of mind. You see, as engineers are responsible for finding scientific and realistic solutions to problems, it's important that they are guided by the principles of humanities to make conscious decisions. The study of humanities instills a sense of responsibility, ownership, and promotes resolution of conflicts in a wholesome manner. One of the most important aspects of engineering is effective communication, both verbal and written. The ability to effectively analyze a problem, evaluate different options, and engineer a solution requires the skill taught in liberal arts. Many problems on projects are caused by poor communications, just simply poor communications. And that's where humanities comes in handy. Humanities study can strengthen the ability of engineers to work and communicate with one another. To control or prevent pollution, we need to take these measures. 1, reduce fuel consumption. 2, reduce noise pollution. 3, reduce waste generation. 4, implementing erosion control measures so that on a job site during storm, the erosion control measures will be able to filter all that debris and contain the mud within the job site. We have to minimize discharge of contaminants to the stormwater system. By accelerating timelines, we're able to control pollution. When you hurry up and perform a job, the reduced time you're spending at the job site. By doing that, is reducing the number of days that you're going to pollute the air, because construction is known to generate a lot of polluted gases. Building energy efficient buildings is another way to control pollution and prevention. In summary, having addressed these different parts of sustainability, starting with what is sustainability, telling us different types of sustainability, discussing sustainable business practices, and also explaining to us the role that engineers can play in sustainable development, and making us understand that it's not something that one person or two people will do. It's an integrated approach which requires continuous and consistent collaboration from businesses, government entities, non-profit organizations, and grassroots movement. On an individual level, learning about sustainability can make a whole world of difference. I hope that with the knowledge we've shared today, we hope that you can now have a better understanding on how we can meet our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That is sustainability. And I invite you to partner with us in our sustainable development movement. Thank you.